Talofa everyone, Aonga Māori Sione here from Organic Talanoa. Welcome to Season 2. It's been a bit of a journey. We've gone through Season 1. Thank you to those who have liked, subscribed and shared. Want to thank a few people, Campfire Studios with Will and Guy, also Miranda Davis around with the background work that she's doing. Also want to thank our families, our friends that have been supporting this Talanoa. As well, I'd like to thank my wife in supporting this crazy idea. Glad you're here for the journey. Lots more interesting Talanoa. Enjoy Season 2.
This one's for you and you and you. And you and you and you. This one's for you and you and you.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Talofa lava everyone. Aonga Māori Sione. Here again with another episode. Have an awesome guest today, Tevita Faleafa. Just want to welcome into Organic Talanoa also. With Tevita rolls for Senior Advisor for Pasifika in the New Zealand NZQA. And no doubt so many other roles, living out in South Auckland, based in Rewa. But of Tongan descent. Happy to have you on Organic Talanoa, my brother.
Nah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I've been keeping up with all of the episodes, so it's just buzzy to be here on one, man.
Like you said, I wanted to get a good mixture of our PI. I classify you as a young man. A young man come through, and also with our PI men. So, welcome to Organic Talanoa. And like I say, just relax, just let the stories come out. And I guess I want to pick out is in terms of, want to give us a little bit of a background on yourself, maybe your schooling, education, tertiary education as well.
Like you said, I grew up in South Auckland pretty much all my life. Went to Morosco Grammar and then finished off at Wesley College. Sorry, vice versa. And then went to University of Auckland and then straight from there into the workforce, man.
With the workforce coming out of uni, so fresh, bro. Like, I guess it's the life skills, understanding what's out in the world. How was that for yourself? I guess in the sense of the wellness side of mental wellness side of that.
Yeah, no, I think it was, for me personally anyway, it was probably a bit shocking because, I had been at uni for over 5 years. So I finished my degree, then I stayed there for, my honors. And then in between my honors, I was doing, bits and pieces of work, just, tutoring, mentoring and just other side jobs. So I never really left uni until 5 years later. So to come from there into the workforce, it was a bit of a shock. But I gotta say though, my first job at a social service, as the first job out of uni was probably a good one to have because I feel like it grounded me in a way where it gave me, just a reality check, man. Cause, being institutionalized at a university for a long period of time and then coming out to find, there's jobs like, social service that connects with the people and it's grassroots level. I feel like it was, empowering, man. So, I feel like everything kind of happened for a reason, but the fact that it was a social service job after university, it was a blessing in disguise in the long run for me.
How was the mentoring? So picking up that you did a bit of mentoring. So was that mentoring in the uni?
Yeah, mentoring in the uni, and then there was other jobs. So the university does a thing called MATES. It's mentoring and tutoring education scheme, and they do it with high school students. So they take university students outside, from the University of Auckland that studies different field, and they go into high schools to mentor intermediate kids that are going into high school and then college kids that are going into university. So it was a good opportunity not only to mentor, but kind of to be the older brother figure, because I feel like in a lot of the schools that we went to, and all of these schools are just low decile schools, so there were schools that needed just a bit of guidance and a bit of mentoring. So it was good, man, because especially for me, just like my family, I'm the oldest boy, so there's 7 of us, and 4 girls, 3 boys, but I'm the oldest boy. So the mentoring roles, every time I'm in a situation very similar to it, it's kind of like I try to be the mentor that I never had kind of growing up in, especially growing up in a fatherless household. I think mentoring roles and tutoring roles like that always remind me just how fortunate and how lucky I have it, but also how I can be impactful to kids that might be in the same shoes as me. So it's always crazy, man, because I come across kids that I see myself in them, kind of lost and just don't know where to go, and because of that, they'll probably end up stuck in the system, and it's not until someone kind of gives a crap or, cares enough to kind of guide them that, they just kind of get stuck in the educational system,
Nice. With, and I love it, bro, like just from your own life experience and now how you're able to help change an experience that could, you don't really want it to be a negative one, but just to know that they do have support out there, and it's almost like an older brother to, a lot of the other students that are out there. By the sounds of it, bro, like there was a lot of enjoyment through it. Made good, would have obviously made good mates. With the social service side, with that, how was that? How did you find stepping into that role with from uni into the social service?
No, I think it was, it was a blessing in disguise, man, because initially, the role was just kind of meant to be, something to try out. And then, the idea was that by the end of that year, because I had left uni halfway through the year, so I applied for a job, social service job, and then got that, and I was thinking, by Christmas I'll be out, and I'll just look for another job. But man, it was good because I feel like that's where we met, and that's where I met a lot of older Pacific men, and I feel like, man, in some way, and they probably didn't recognize just how much impact they had on my life. But man, just being able to be absorbed around Pacific older men and to see how how Pacific men just not only hold themselves, but how they engage with the community. I feel like that was a lot of gems for me. So for the next year and a half, I was just a sponge, man. I was just trying to absorb, pick up everything, the likes of Paul, Nelly, that's some of the people that's already been on this podcast. For me,
Maka.
It was just...
What about Maka?
Maka, man. Uncle, bro. OG uncle, man, for sure. Shout out Maka, man. But I think the social service part was not only... the part of actually serving, because I feel like, and that's that's probably another thing that that you hear a lot these days is people talking about service. Tautua, like they do this and they do that, in their service, but to actually be in the social service and to see, firsthand of how service is done, and not bragged about after, I feel like it's so impactful because, a lot of our people, nowadays, I think, anything and everything is considered service. If you shake someone's hand, it's considered service. But I think for me anyway, it's just being able to sit back and absorb a lot of the OGs, including yourself, man, just really show how social service is meant to be and what it's like to serve Pacific people from Pacific people. I think that was the difference, right? Because especially, coming back to the uni experience, well, all the people that always served Pacific people weren't Pacific people, and it was, the intentions is probably at the best, but it meant that a lot of the service wasn't always, culturally appropriate for the clients that they were meeting. So, I could probably go on and on about it, but it was definitely a good experience.
We always worry about, especially connecting with our communities. Not just PI, but I guess anyone in general. That we always make sure that, relationship build. It's not just something we do straight away and get it. It's like it's one of those things over time. Gaining the trust in that, and then you find that they start opening up and then things start happening. So good on you, man. That was a good experience to get out of their role with social service. Just touching on, I was just picking up there with uni. So do you think that there's not enough of PIs that are striving to go up to the next level? So I guess I know that you're in a senior leadership role now. So those roles, as I was thinking about, do you think not enough of us are pushing to get to those positions?
Man, I think it's probably not a one-way answer for that type of question. And you think of the Damon Salesas, who just recently, became Vice Chancellor of AUT, Pacific Descent, but then you kind of compare that to the rest of us, who are still trying and still working our way through it. And so it's, I think it's more of a collective effort. And I feel like for education, a lot of the reasons why I think our Pacific Pacific students are still working through it is because of the approach that it's always seen individually. If it's an education problem, we just look at it that it's an education problem, we need to fix it through education. But as Pacific people, we know that one thing always leads to another, and it's more of a collective thing. If you want to fix the education, sometimes we need to fix the social problems too. Yeah. And that's probably where we at least don't invest a lot of our money into, is actually looking into, do these students have a safe home? Yeah. Do they have parents that look after them? Do they have enough financials to be looked after? Before we even talk about education, because sometimes the conversation is just directly, is he passing NCA level 1, level 2, level 3? There's a bigger conversation that's not being had about, is he even having enough breakfast in the morning to have the brain cells to think in class, So, I think, that's where and that's where it becomes a much bigger conversation than just saying, whether or not we're breaking through or we're making it. It's are these other things also talked about when we talk about education? And the answer is often no. When we look at education, we just think, okay, what's wrong with them academically? Well, sometimes, it's bigger problems outside of the academics. So
going back home, because it's a good point, bro. Like, they do so much when they are in the schools. In the classes, but what are they going home to? That's oh man, it's awesome. I think like a lot of us probably in the lower areas, we all understand that probably to fix their main problem there, as you pointed out, is we need to address, look at what else is happening outside. I remember I do a first FD, and I remember being asked, what club do you reckon these guys would go through? Being auto, probably be only one, be a Killer Bees club. I don't know. Because it's, once again, it's one of those things that's, it's more appealing than, they've given up on the education, but there's still a lot of things that are happening in the background we need to address.
Yep. Hard out. And it's just, and I feel like all of it comes back to poverty, like you can't do anything if you're poor. And that's point blank, because, we always try to, what if we do this? What if we move this around? It's just, it's really hard to do anything in life if you have, no, a low socioeconomic status. And for a lot of our Pacific people, that's just the reality, and, even when you're talking about, the community and all of that, church has a big part to play too, and that could be looked at in different aspects, but church also has a big part to play with education too, and promoting education, and also supporting education too, getting behind the importance of schooling and stuff. But it's such a big conversation to unpack.
Has church been so obviously coming for no dad in the family, but was that more of a positive influence for you with church?
I think, in a lot of ways, church played a big role, but because my parents, they kind of split halfway through my life, but even before they had split, and my dad was your typical Pacific father, so that meant physically and emotionally he was never around anyway. But like you said, churches and growing up just with a lot of male figure around always helped, because even though I didn't get that direct experience from my father, I always picked it up from, the uncles and the father figures at church, even at school. One of the, you were talking about rugby, but I just kind of recall back to, my high school. And one of the biggest reasons why I was able to succeed and kind of get through the school system was because my first 15 coach cared. And it sounds funny, man, because a lot of people would probably think, but this coach, even though, wasn't the best first 15 player and, probably wasn't gonna be the starting 15 for All Blacks anytime soon. But the influential figure that he had, was just always, believing in me, man. Just, get to school, just do the best you can and leave everything else. And, when I think back, especially with the mentoring role, it's always, when you go through school and when you come through the educational system, it takes that one person to care about you, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a coach, whether it's a father figure or whatever it might be. It takes that one person to care or to give a damn to change someone's life. And fortunately, my first 15 coach was it for me, man, because he knew, like my background and stuff like that. So he always, after training, he pulled me aside and always asked me, what I needed help with, or what he could spend some time doing homework center with. So just small things like that, man. And when I look at our youth, I feel like there's not enough of those influential figures. There's not enough of those father figures that just care. And sometimes that's it. It's not even the academics. It's not even being trying to give them all of this wisdom. Sometimes it's just simply caring, being there, being physically, being present, is what we lack here. So, if we could just strengthen on that, man, we'll see a lot of positive change within our youth and, just within our future generation.
Does First 15 coach get a shout out?
Oh man, yeah, man. Shout out to Nick Tuali. He's probably listening to this, or probably will listen to this when it comes out. But shout out to Nick Tuali, man. He was probably and everyone. The thing about Nick is that he was a community man. So it's not like I was someone special or someone that he fought.
Everyone mattered.
Yeah, everyone mattered, and I swear it's teachers like these that are in schools that make the most impactful changes. It's not the smartest teacher. It's not the teacher with the best, suits that come to school. It's the teachers that actually care. And I feel like it's the pastoral care part of schools that often lack, because they just want to teach and go home. And we can go on and on. I understand from, a NZQA perspective of just how bad some of our teachers have it. But I think, it's the pastoral care part for our, Pacific kids that often is the defining factor of whether they go on to pursue a higher education, or they say stuff it, we just drop out at fifth form and find a factory job, work and settle at that. So
nice. I mean, just listening to that story, felt like I was just listening to my own story. It's basically the same situation, but well done, bro. Like you've obviously situation in life hasn't been started off too well, but man, you didn't let that hold you back. So. And I guess that brings me on to our next question, onto the your NZQA role. They're not just advisor, but Senior Pasifika. So how's that been, man, moving into that, just a recent appointment?
I think it's been good, and a lot of it is because of the previous conversation that we had about social service, because I feel like, and if I could, I would probably encourage anyone who wants to get into the education agency or education sector to do a bit of time in the community in terms of social service, because I think those are the foundation, man. And being able to kind of because at NZQA we're at the office of Pasifika, so all of our work just is with anything and everything to do with Pacific. But man, having the background of social service really helps, because you've already had the first-hand experience of what our people need on the grassroots level. But then to go into the public sector, even though it sounds a bit too ambitious, but it means that you understand what a lot of the changes that's required down at the grassroots level, because a lot of our problems is that there's a mismatch. The people that are sitting in the white ivory towers have no understanding of the realities that's happening on the ground level. They're making all of these key decisions and assuming that it'll work for Pacific, because if it worked for this bunch of people, then it might work for this. But I think the role is, I count every I guess every part of the journey is a blessing, but the current one that I'm in is very much a blessing because it allows me to be impactful, but also to be a change in the space that I am, even though that might sound a bit ambitious as a public servant, but
it's cool because I like it how now that you've had an understanding of what's happening down here and you're probably moving to a role there where you're able to now sort of sit around the table. You know, you're in the conversations, which is probably an encouragement that's probably leading into that where more of our, not just our PIs, Māoris and you know, the lesser groups be able to be around those tables, eh? So it's good. You're comfortable sitting in there?
Yeah, very comfortable, man. And the cool thing about the role is that it's two-sided. So, there's a lot of policy and kind of internal work about Pacific student and Pacific academic success. But then the other part, which is the part that I enjoy the most, is that we go out and do workshops, NCA workshops. And the only reason why I enjoy it the most is because it allows me to put in a little bit of the social service part that we've had experience of, and which is connecting with people, you know, doing what we do best, just seeing what are the day-to-day issues that they have, and what's been the barrier for them to succeed in school, eh? And man, honestly, one of the schools down at Wellington, because it was a boys only school, one of the main reasons that they talked about was just exactly, and it kind of ties into what we were talking about before, but that the behavioral issues with a lot of their students is from the lack of father figures at home. And man, it was crazy because a lot of these workshops, even though NCA is meant to be the whole conversation, as naturally as Pacific people, we're always talking about everything else. And so, and so it's always interesting to have those workshops because it allows the parents to just be open and to understand that we're just there as a pair of ears to listen and to hopefully take that back to our agency and see how we can further help and support with these families. But man, you get a lot of real talk and a lot of conversations just like this, Organic Talanoa, where you just hear the parents talk about things that are not always directly involved with education, but also affects them, you know, and that's it.
Oh, nice, bro. That's to listen to, well, I guess part of that is by Zanzi, you were based down in Wellington. And then now you're back in 09. Wellington's, how was that for an experience for yourself? Have you left 09 before to go down anywhere else, or?
Nah, man. It's interesting that you actually asked that because so what had happened was after the social service job, after I had left that, my partner around the same time had just scored a job at the Ministry of Health down at Wellington. And she was like, "Oh man, I'm going down to Wellington. What's happening with you?" And because I had no job at the time, I thought, stuff it. I just rolled the dice and we'll go to Wellington. And so I went to Wellington, and then the job eventually happened with NZQA. But what was interesting is just the cultural and the environment shock that I had, man. Like living in Manurewa all my life, and then moving down to somewhere like Johnsonville. And anyone who knows Wellington will probably know the majority of ethnicity and just the vast difference of the population in Manurewa and the population that's in Johnsonville. But man, it was a journey. It was such an experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world because I feel like because of that, I was able to get out of my comfort zone. I feel like Manurewa and South Auckland has always been my comfort zone, and it always will be. I don't think, even if I won the lotto tomorrow, I don't think I'll ever move out of South Auckland. But Johnsonville, man, it was just so different. And what I realized is just for me anyway, and this is my own personal take, is how the difference between Auckland and Wellington is that everyone down at Wellington is so work driven. Like for me, this is probably the way I would kind of round it up, is that in Wellington you have work and everything around it revolves around your work. Whereas then for me, especially coming from South Auckland, it's like work happens to be the thing that enables you to do everything else. Like you go to work so that you can get the bit of coin and you can use that coin to do everything that you actually want to do. Whereas then down in Wellington, work is what they want to do. Work is, or at least, you know, and I don't know if it's got to do with the fact that, you know, all the central government and all of the agencies and the big national offices are down there. And so everyone's very serious about the work that they do. But man, yeah, I feel like in Auckland, everyone's just a little bit more easier when it comes to work stuff. It's like, yeah, I'll go to I'll go to work today. But down there, it's kind of like, you know, everyone's very focused. So it was good for me because, being in the first few years of my job, I needed that. I needed the kind of, actually, you know, you need to take things a little bit seriously, getting a little bit older, and you can't just do what you like. And so the year, we were down there for 2 years before we came back up. But man, the 2 years were real good because I was able to just kind of knuckle down and actually find out what my passion was. Because if not, I feel like I would have came back and still jumping jobs and still trying to figure out, you know, where's my calling, or, you know, where do I actually, where can I be most useful? And I found that in the education space, it was the education space that I feel like is my real calling, or at least where I can be helpful with a lot of young Pacific boys that need that little bit of guidance and a little bit of help.
Yeah. You know, with, because I was taking earlier on the conversation with being the older sibling, so obviously you actually paid a father figure to the younger ones. Did you miss home and that, with your other siblings and that?
Yeah. Man, and it's, I think that was also partially the reason why we moved back.
Yeah.
It's because my, youngest brother, he has rheumatic heart disease. And so, because I was the oldest, it was a little bit more easier for me to obviously come back, than to have my brother move down, because he had all of his, doctor and the nurse that comes monthly for his injections. So it was a little bit more easier, when we had the conversation that I actually needed to move back. And so he lives with me, but I think during the 2 years we were down there, it was so hard, growing up, kind of being family orientated, to just going down there and it's just me and my partner, you know, that's all I saw every day before and after work. It's just myself and my partner. But, in some ways it also taught independence, you know, because I feel like the good thing about Pacific is that we're always collective and we're always, you know, very, family orientated. But the bad thing about it is that we're also very dependent, you know, because we're so used to our family and mom and dad doing everything while you just sit around. But being down at Wellington actually told me that actually there's a lot more responsibilities that you need to have as an adult. And if you're going to be an adult, part of it is paying your rent on time. Part of it is, you know, paying the bills and making sure that there's shopping and all of that stuff. So to come back to Auckland because of my brother, I think it was probably good timing, and it was one that in terms of work life, I was able to do because, NZQA definitely is open about the whole working remotely and stuff like that. So I was able to move around the same time that I needed to, and my brother was sorted, and so everything kind of worked out purposefully. So, that's why I feel like, man, everything's a blessing in disguise, because, even though sometimes to us it doesn't make sense, or, you know, it feels like, man, you know, when I lost my job, I wasn't working for a good 6 months, and I was miserable, man, moving down to Wellington for the first 6 months, like moving to a new place without a job and without, you know, kind of any purpose. I was just staying at home being bitter, you know, thinking about, man, well, you know, like, I hate this place and I just want to go back home. And
did you reach out? Did you reach out for any support, or did you just ring home? Was that your support?
Yeah, it's interesting that you asked that, Sonic, because I think for me, it was definitely just calling back home. It was having a bit of dose of just my normal reality, calling mom and just seeing how the rest of the family was. For me, that was what kept me grounded and what kind of helped me through the rough period of moving down there without a job. but also because of the stigma, like the whole idea that, as a man, you should be the one providing, So even though my partner was very open and, just told me like, don't worry about it. Like, just keep your head down and keep looking. But for me, it just felt very weird for those couple of months, that I was just at home, I was being the kind of stay home wife. And that was very, very strange to me. So, but once again, when I kind of look back at everything in disguise, everything good was, good life experience, man. I wouldn't trade it.
Your brother now, he's on the road to recovery. Well, he probably is on recovered, but probably is just the process of rheumatic fever. I've just been a rheumatic fever person myself, so and I guess you support him. How you been supporting him alongside his journey with the nurses and that?
Yeah. It's definitely a journey. And I mean, I don't even, I'm just the brother to him, but it's so he was kind of picked up around the early ages of 9, and so he's 13 now. But been having the monthly the injections, and so what's happened currently is that he's waiting just for surgery. So because you have to have the heart valves kind of replaced because it's that badly damaged. But I think for me, and especially for the rest of our family, it was just the supporting him. And I'm not too sure, but a lot of his journey was revolved around being scared of the idea that he will have to have surgery, because we were told that right from the start. But I think it's a lot of that fear also is just from the lack of knowledge too. So what we've been trying to do is just informing him of, unfortunately, how common these, how it is, and also having the doctor to just kind of explain some of that information to him directly, because, as good as us telling him that, you only believe it from the guy who's going to do the surgery. So when we do have consultations, it's always important that even though that information gets across to myself and to my mom who's present in the room, but that it's also explained to him too, because he's the one that's going to have to go through the surgery. But it's been a rough journey, I think, especially coming closer to the time of surgery, and just being explained, that actually a lot of these things that he already has, which is the monthly injection and the monthly pill, he'll be on for the rest of his life. And so, it's, for my mom, initially, there was a hard pill to swallow because, it's just, you kind of sit back and you kind of ask, why him? But once again, I feel like everything happens accordingly, and we always encourage him, my little brother, that his life is it will be a testimony to someone else who's going through the same thing and might be losing a bit of hope and might need a bit of encouragement. So to always kind of stay up and stick through it.
Maybe that's a thing we need to do with rheumatic fevers. Form a support group, because it's, I didn't realize how bad it was. Like when I think about it, I was the same. I got it at 5, penicillin, right through every month, right up to the age of 21. So then I'm just thinking, man, but then these now, little did I know, I didn't know that your brother's going to be getting surgery. And that's real common, and I was just going, man. So I guess for a lot of our families, he's just, man, when you feel it just starts from the throat, when you're saying that their throat is sore, then, man, by all means, get it checked there.
Yeah. And that's it, man. I feel like it comes back to the small stuff, because it's such a Pacific Island thing that we don't see the doctors until we feel like we're going to die. We don't hit the emergency room until we feel like physically we can't go on. We need to do something about it. But it's the small things, man. And I feel like, what myself and my partner was talking about last night is if there was anything that we're actually going to look into and invest into is probably private healthcare. Because that's one of the most underrated things, But in New Zealand, I mean, we've seen just how bad some of our hospitals are, and to some extent, it's not even their fault. It's just there's just too many overloaded, overworked, and underpaid. And to some extent, private healthcare seems like it's the only option that kind of makes sense. But it does come back to those small things, you know. If you get a bit of cough, take some Panadol, you'll be all right. Not knowing that, you know, that's what
Isn't
started
that a Pacific thing, Take some Panadol.
man, you break your arm, take some Panadol, it should be fine. It should be fine. And I'm not too sure if that comes back to how the hospitals are in the islands, because I swear in Tonga they do the same thing. You know, you come in there with a sore head, take a Panadol. You come in there with, you know, a sore chest, take a Panadol. You should be fine. Give it 4 hours. It might need to take another 2. So I'm not too sure, man. But yeah, we do need to take our health and our, you know, just all of that stuff seriously, because and I feel like it also kind of comes back to, you know, being a man, you know, that again, this all ties into the mental health thing. But a lot of it is, you know, like there's this specific thing of sticking it out, and it also comes back to the, you know, to the medical side of it thing too, because it's like, if you got that, it's all right, just all good, you'll be all good.
She'll be the right attitude, eh?
Yeah, she'll be the right attitude. But sometimes, you know, and that's what we're talking about, is like, if we are Christians, you know, because a lot of our Pacific families are Christians, then why are we not putting our faith in the people that God has blessed as medical professionals to do their job? You know, why are we intervening and saying, you'll be all right, just stick it out? Some questions, man, but that's probably for another conversation.
I was going to say that. That's another in-depth one in itself. Well, then awesome. You know, listening to your journey, I just feel, every person that comes on there, I just feel there's always a second part, because there's no doubt, you know, they maybe along the lines, maybe get back in again. Just probably to finish off, Vita, like just any words of encouragement for our, not just for our PI men, our Māori PI men, but also for our community, you know, our PI community, the community in general, bro.
No, I think my word of encouragement is probably just to have faith and to work hard, man. I think a lot of the times we emphasize on just have faith alone, but the importance of working hard and understanding that everything, life is a journey, you know, life is a journey. And so, I guess wrapping up, it's always important to, even though you're working hard, but to have faith too, and that those two things work collaboratively, in terms of success. And I know that there's always a lot of support out there too. If you're feeling a bit down and out, and you don't want to talk to family and to friends, because that's always normal around those kind of down moments. There's always the phone lines and that, and just to always know that it's important to reach out. I think too many of the times, especially as Pacific men, we've kind of built that, just what we're talking about, she'll be right attitude, like, but not knowing that those small things that you kind of push aside, go into a snowball effect, and eventually, escalates into something bigger. So, I think that will probably be my kind of word of encouragement just to any of our listeners here today.
Thanks, Tevita. It's been awesome to have you on here, to have the Organic Talanoa. Shout out to Nick Tuli.
Nick Tuli. Shout out Nick Tuli, man, with a master grammar, social studies teacher, but I think he's also doing the First 15 coaching.
Shout out, bro, for the years just stepping in there and showing the father figure. That's our Talanoa session for today. Thank you very much for listening. For more episodes, you can link into YouTube on our Organic Talanoa. Also, subscribe, share. This will be out on platforms as well, on our normal social medias, Organic Talanoa on Facebook, Organic Talanoa on Instagram, and connecting to LinkedIn. So by all means, share away. For more other Organic Talanoa, look forward to seeing you in there. And for now, thank you, love, my brother.
Let's go.
This one's for you and you and you. And you and you and you. This one's for you and you and you.
Da 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 da.